Hello, good evening. My name is Ubuchine Edith, a student of Cloud Server Administration 235, and I'm here to give my answer to the recorded interview. Thank you for having me on this interview. And the first question is the core components of a VM and how we can leverage it in business settings. First and foremost, I would like to start by defining the meaning of a virtual machine. A virtual machine is a software emulation of a physical computer, and it relies on several components to function effectively. And with that said, I'm going down to the question, which is the core components of a virtual machine. This includes one, the virtual hardware. The virtual hardware are the physical components, a physical part of a computer. This includes the central processing unit, which is the processing power for the virtual machine, the memory, which stores the application for the VM, the storage device, which stores the application, the data for the VM. Then we have the network interface. The network interface helps in connectivity between our virtual machine and other devices in the network. Then we have the hypervisor. The hypervisor is the virtualization layer, and we have two types of hypervisors. We have the type 1 hypervisor, which includes which is the hypervisor is the type 1 hypervisor is known as the bare metal. Example of that is Microsoft Hyper-V, while the type 2 is known as the hosted virtual machine hypervisor, which is hosted on top of an operating system. An example of that is VirtualBox. And we also have the guest operating system. The guest operating system is the operating system that our virtual machine utilizes. Examples of this can either be Windows, Mac OS, Ubuntu, or that's the one I could remember about the operating system. Then we also have other features like the hypervisor tools, which is the Microsoft Hyper-V, the VirtualBox, and the workstations. Then we also have other features which includes snapshots, which helps you to get back to the VM to get back to its original position in case of testing or just going back to where it was initially. Then we have the live migration, which enables you to move a VM from one location to the other without loss of transmission or data on transit. And these are about the components, the major components of that. Now, how does this help a business, or how can a business leverage utilization technology in their businesses? This includes development and testing, which helps in making sure that while testing or development is ongoing, that it does not affect the existing ecosystem of the business, and it does not disrupt anything. We have data recovery and business continuity. It means that when disaster strikes, it does not have to keep you out of business. You can easily migrate to other places and continue with your business. We have it helps you to increase efficiency by reducing the amount you spend on having a physical hardware and providing security for all those things. So it helps in scalability and flexibility, making it possible for you to always be able to downgrade or upgrade depending on the kind of resources that is being needed, making it possible to avoid any form of wastage, because you only pay or use based on what is required at every moment in time. So number 2 question to this interview is question 2 is server roles and features are critical for defining server functionality. Describe the difference between a server role and server feature. How do you determine which roles and features the server needs? First and foremost, the server roles helps you determine the kind of function that the server will be performing. Will the server be responsible for web hosting, file share, database management, or that? So when you know the exact function or role that the server will be performing, it helps you to know how to go about it. The server features is just an enhancement that helps the server role to perform its job accurately. So the last question is, how do you determine which roles and features a server would need? For you to know which roles and features the server would need, you need to know first and foremost the reason for the creation of the server. Once you know the reason for the creation of the server, it will give you an insight on the appropriate role or feature that this particular server will need. And for organizations to excel, they need to effectively know how to deploy, manage their servers, because they need to know how to manage and deploy the servers, because this will help them in knowing the specific needs of the organization that the servers will be functioning. And so with this said, it means that organization needs to know the basic function that the server they are creating or they are deploying will actually do for them, in order for them to deploy the actual thing and manage it effectively for business continuity and growth. Then the third question is, domains are fundamental components of a company's infrastructure. Explain the primary purpose of Active Directory and how it facilitates user and resource management within a domain. Give an example of a common task you can perform using Active Directory. Active Directory is a centralized system that helps in managing the domain or an organization's infrastructure. The essence of Active Domain is just to make sure that everything works perfectly, and for this they help in authentication, they help in centralized authentication, user and group management, resource management, and group policy. An example of this might be creating a group, creating a user, assigning the user a membership, and adding group policy to the user created. So with this, Active Directory helps in having a centralized management for its users, manages resources, and help in applying group policies. So thank you all for having me in this recorded interview. It's my pleasure being invited, and I look forward to hearing more from you. I hope and believe that with this, I'll be able to get the role of a system administrator in your organization. Thank you once more for having me here. Bye.